They told themselves it was only a calculation, just numbers on a chalkboard, just symbols, probabilities, margins of error. But the universe has never cared about margins. In the summer of 1945, humanity stood in the desert and asked a question no species had ever asked before. Not, will this weapon work? But something far more dangerous. What if it works too well? For a brief moment, even the greatest physicists alive believed the bomb might ignite the atmosphere, that the nitrogen in the air could begin to fuse, that the sky itself could burn, not metaphorically, literally. They calculated the odds. They argued late into the night. They reassured one another with phrases like negligible probability and effectively impossible. Effectively. Not absolutely. When the final decision was made, there was no applause, no celebration, only silence and a button. The explosion came like a second sun, brighter than anything the human eye had ever endured. For a fraction of a second, the desert became day, then white, then something beyond white. Some witnesses laughed, others wept. One man thought of ancient scripture and destruction, foretold long before science existed. And when the fireball faded, the world was still there, breathing, spinning, seemingly unchanged. Relief washed over them, the kind of relief that only comes when you survive, something you didn't fully understand. But relief is not proof. What if the calculation wasn't wrong in the way we imagine? What if the atmosphere didn't ignite all at once? What if it didn't explode? What if it changed? Science is comfortable with explosions. It is far less comfortable with slow reactions, processes that unfold across decades, across generations, across species. A reaction that does not announce itself is the most dangerous kind. After Trinity, the world entered the nuclear age. Radiation spread quietly. Particles drifted invisibly. Fallout settled into soil, water, bone. Cancer rates rose. Birth defects appeared. Genetic mutations accumulated, each one explainable, each one dismissible, each one, on its own, harmless to the narrative of progress. But together, they form a pattern no one wants to finish drawing. Oppenheimer never celebrated the bomb the way others did. He did not speak with pride. He spoke with restraint, with hesitation. When asked later if the test had been dangerous, he admitted something chilling. They had feared it might destroy the world, and yet they tested it anyway. That sentence should never sit comfortably in the human mind. The hydrogen bomb came later, even more powerful, even less understood. By then, the fear had changed shape. Not, will this end everything? But we survived once, so we will survive again. Confidence replaced caution. Confidence always does. But nature does not care about precedent. If the atmosphere had been subtly altered, if molecular behavior had shifted even slightly, the effects would not be dramatic at first. They would be statistical, gradual, easy to ignore. A little more instability here, a little less predictability there. Climate patterns begin to wobble. Extremes become normal. Normal becomes unbearable. The planet does not die screaming. It dies adjusting. We like our apocalypses loud. We like fire, shock waves, instant endings. A slow apocalypse terrifies us because it looks like life. It looks like business as usual. After the bomb, humanity did not slow down. It accelerated. More tests, bigger yields, higher stakes. The sky absorbed it all. And we told ourselves that because nothing visibly broke. Nothing had broken at all. But the universe is not a machine that snaps. It bends. It warps. It accumulates damage quietly. What if the real catastrophe was not ignition, but permission? The moment we proved we were willing to gamble, everything on a calculation that admitted uncertainty. From that moment on, the future changed. Not because the world ended, but because we accepted that it could and pressed forward anyway. Every existential risk since then follows the same logic. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, climate manipulation. We calculate, we reassure, we proceed. Near zero. Acceptable risk, unlikely outcome. The same words. Oppenheimer lost his security clearance later in life, not for a mistake in physics, but for doubt. Doubt is dangerous in a civilization built on acceleration. And yet doubt may have been the most rational response anyone had. He understood something that frightened him, that intelligence does not guarantee wisdom, that knowledge does not imply restraint. Standing in that desert, humanity crossed the threshold it has never returned from. The question is no longer whether the bomb could have ended the world. The question is whether it taught us how comfortable we are, living on the edge of that possibility. If the end came slowly, we would call it coincidence. We would call it complexity. We would call it anything except responsibility. And maybe that is the most unsettling theory of all. Not that the world ended in fire, but that it began ending the moment we decided the risk was worth it. The sky didn't burn that day, but something else did. And it never really stopped.